Hey, welcome back. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Ian and this is Opinion. Well, folks, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is upon us, and after a mere 7 weeks in operation, it's been deemed a failure. Nah, I'm just kidding. Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is in full operation at Disneyland, and so is the YouTube Rageaholic Star Wars machine. That thing is all pistons firing, full throttle, day and night, going on and on and on. People are losing their minds over this park. And the folks who seem to be getting the most mileage out of it are people who've never even stepped a foot in it. I'm here to talk about some of the issues surrounding the reactions to Galaxy's Edge so far. I want to point out that this is not a Galaxy's Edge review because I do consider it a pretty important part to actually go and experience the thing that you're going to review. That doesn't seem as important to other people, but it is to me. But that'll be coming up because I'm actually going there within the next few weeks. If you know anything about me and my channel, then you probably already know how I feel about The Last Jedi. So I'm surprising even myself, making a video that will undoubtedly come off to some as some Disney-sponsored defense of their new land. It's not. These are just my opinions, and I invite you to hear me out. I want to dig into this idea that Disney is doing layoffs for a second. Okay, so I worked at Disneyland for upwards of 8 years, and I was hired as what is known as Casual Temporary Employee, or CT. What that means is that you are hired on an as-needed basis. You're not promised anything, you're not guaranteed any hours. In fact, a lot of it is up to you. If you're diligent and you call in and you're trying to get shifts and seeing what's available, you're probably gonna work. This practice has been instated at Disneyland for decades, and Disneyland does this anytime they have a land opening, anytime they have a busy season or a busy event coming up. It's standard practice. When Disney bulked up for Galaxy's Edge, all the employees knew on the paperwork that they weren't promised any hours whatsoever. So it's a dice roll. You try to get work in the summer and you either get it or you don't. That's it. There's no layoffs. Disney isn't doing layoffs. You can't lay off people that weren't promised work in the first place. Casual temporary employees get nothing. They don't get benefits. They don't get, I think they get minimal sign-in privileges, but they get very, very little. So there's nothing to gain, nothing to lose. I think everybody should have to work at a restaurant and a theme park in their lifetime. Because dealing with the public at that level, dealing with the expectations and demands and the pressures and the interface, you can't trade that for anything. Also comes in really handy in the knowing what you're talking about department. In addition to the sensationalized cry that Disneyland is laying off employees, I've also seen this article thrown around a bit. And just by taking a look at it, you think, oh my God, looks like someone has some solid reasons on this topic. But wait a minute. This author also wrote an alternate piece to this. Yeah, he's arguing both sides so that you, the individual, can make up your mind about what you think. My point is that you can't cherry pick an article like this to confirm your personal bias, especially if the author is approaching it from both sides. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is this ravenous, foaming at the mouth need to call Galaxy's Edge a failure after only 7 weeks.
That's okay, I'm never coming back to this planet again.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's brand new. It's brand new. It just got here. Not only is the other attraction in the park not even open yet, but they're not even implementing all the things that they were planning on yet. They're kind of finding their way. For example, they were going to have more runaround droids and possibly some aliens. I personally would love to see that. But they didn't do it yet. How are they supposed to do something like that with the crowds the way they were during the reservation period? If you were to gauge something like Disneyland itself, according to its 1955 opening, it would have been considered a complete failure. Another huge factor that a lot of people seem to be overlooking is there's another Star Wars Galaxy's Edge opening in Florida in a very short amount of time. So here's the logic. If you're a family of 5, and yeah, it does cost a lot to go to Disneyland, and it does cost a lot to stay at the hotel. I personally don't know how people do it with a huge family, but they do it. They scrimp and they save and they sacrifice. If my kids are like, hey dad, I want to go to Galaxy's Edge, and I live in, I don't know, North Carolina or Tennessee or Georgia, Am I gonna traipse my family across the country to go to Galaxy's Edge in California and stay at an expensive hotel? Hell no. I'm gonna wait another month or two until it opens in Florida and go down there because it's cheaper and it's easier. There are far too many dynamics at work right now to pin this down on one thing. There's too much going on. Could it have been busier now that the reservation time is over? Of course. Are people rebelling against Disney and that's why the whole park is having low attendance? No. I think Disney just over-prepared for something that they thought was going to be a complete congestive guest traffic flow nightmare, and they overdid it, and now they're kind of figuring out the aftermath of that. Disney has a way of giving the public like a litmus test when it comes to their new products and their new areas and movies, so on and so forth. They're poking, they're checking. They want to check and see what's working, what's not. I guarantee you changes are coming. And the Rise of the First Order is going to be a trackless ride. Those types of rides have a very high success rate at all the parks around the world. So I think it's really exciting that they're doing something like that. Now let's dig into the Batuu bashing itself that's going on. Starting with the topic of there are not enough original trilogy characters or references in Batuu. Folks, there are currently three areas of Disneyland dedicated to Star Wars. You've got the launch bay where you can go meet and greet with classic characters in a one-on-one situation. We've got Star Tours, which between all the adventures represents every single trilogy that's currently in the cinema. Not to mention you've got Yoda showing up in the ride, Princess Leia showing up in the ride. You've got C-3PO and R2-D2 in the Q era. You've even got Mon Calamari officers up in the control room.
It's a trap! Twice!
And then you've got an entire land that is Star Wars themed. There is more Star Wars represented in the park right now than there is f***ing Mickey. Disney has made it very clear that Batuu is part of the new trilogy, part of the new generation of Star Wars. And whether you agree with that or not, they at least stayed on task with that. And here's the other thing. Batuu is part of canon. It makes its first appearance in the Timothy Zahn novel, Thrawn Alliances. It is actually mentioned in the book. It's mentioned in a Timothy Zahn book. The Expanded Universe, you know, that giant other body of Star Wars work that people are constantly urging Disney to draw its inspiration and new creative properties from. Yeah, it's in there. Batuu also has an official entry in Wikipedia, and it is described as a smuggler outpost on the very edge of the Outer Rim, which is representative of a last stop before you go off into uncharted space. That's exactly what Galaxy's Edge is modeled after. If you head on over to Wikipedia and take a look at the alien species list of inhabitants of the planet Batuu, among many you'll find humans, Ithorians, which we affectionately know as hammerheads, and Weequays. Now let's take a look at some of the animatronics that they included in the merchandise or attraction areas of Galaxy's Edge. Oh look, this is Doc Ondar, an Ithorian. And over here in Smuggler's Run, we've got Hondo, a fucking Weequay. Not only are these characters in line with the description of Batuu online, Hondo himself is from the beloved Clone Wars, which fans have been asking to have more of. In a lot of ways, they're giving a lot of fans exactly what they're asking for. Don't be surprised, folks, if Batuu starts showing up in Disney Star Wars movies. I mean, has anybody thought about that yet? What if they did a spin-off movie just about Batuu? What if Batuu is in episode 9? As for walk-around characters, I'm not really sure what people are looking for, to be honest. If this is the Star Wars trilogy now, and we've acknowledged that we have older Jedi Luke, that Han is dead, that there's Kylo, that there's Rey, and there's all these other new characters we've been introduced to, what characters are you supposed to have walking around the park for meet and greets? Do you want 19-year-old Luke, farm boy Luke, just coming up and taking a picture with you, like taking a selfie? Because I don't. Do you want some college student in between her sophomore and junior years at Cal State Fullerton, playing Leia in Galaxy's Edge? I don't. That to me is the equivalent of cosplay. I can go to any convention and find someone with a kick-ass Luke Skywalker costume and just take a picture with them. If it's not Mark Hamill, if it's not Harrison Ford, if it's not Carrie Fisher, I don't want them. Disney has a lot of competition now, and if you look at things like Harry Potter World, the Jurassic World that just opened, they have footage of the actual actors in those rides, okay? And that is the reason that Universal Studios and doesn't have walk around Harry Potter, walk around Hermione. The mistake I think Disney is making is that they do have representations of some of the screen personas in the park. They do have Star-Lord, they do have Gamora. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not bashing on these performers, of course. It just presents a character inconsistency problem when you have the original characters represented in the ride and then completely different people portraying the characters out in the park to the public. To be honest, I don't even think they should have Rey in Galaxy's Edge. Daisy Ridley is far too recognizable and far too current. On the flip side, I'm all for masked characters like Darth Vader, Kylo Ren, and Chewbacca because you can accurately portray their voices in one-on-one guest experiences and you don't compromise their identity. One of the things I keep hearing about Galaxy's Edge is, well, it's just a big shopping mall. You can just go buy a whole bunch of stuff. I'll let you in on a little secret. That's all of Disneyland. That's basically the formula that every land and every Disney park follows, you guys. 1 to 3 attractions and a whole bunch of shopping. And I guarantee that those of you who are bashing Galaxy's Edge way too soon right now, if they had stuff that you love, you'd be spending money you ain't got. Fight me. So what do I think of all this? I just think it's too soon. I think it's too soon to make a call on this land. One way or another, they're gonna figure it out. But for now, I think on the plus sides, they built a land that is consistent with canon. They have nods all through the land to characters and creatures that we are familiar with. I think there's a little bit of something for everybody. And maybe I won't like it. I'll know when I go in person to explore it and share a video with you guys. But in the meantime, I think everybody just needs to be a little bit more Yoda. Just calm down, take a breath, and we'll see.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up the
Clear your mind of questions.
Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you see, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button. And remember, folks, I'm not a Disney apologist. I'm not a sponsor. I'm just giving you my opinion. See you next time.